Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of the Open House webinar. On, uh, on this episode, we are going to look at the RFQ platform, the request for quote platform, which has assumed importance topically, given that it's now becoming mandatory for foreign portfolio investors or FPIs to also route a certain number of transactions through this platform. So as usual, we will do a brief introduction of the topic and go through all the questions that we've received from members and foreign portfolio investors. My name is Sriram Krishnan. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer of NSC. With me today are Vittal More to my immediate left. Vittal heads Product Strategy and Development for NSC. And we also have Saurabh Nigam. Saurabh is one of our product managers within Vittal's team. With that, I would like to begin by asking the first question to Saurabh, maybe. Saurabh, why don't you describe what is this RFQ platform all about, the request for quote platform? What was the objective behind the launch of this platform, and how has it done so far?
So RFQ is one of the prominent initiatives taken by SEBI, which triggered the launch of RFQ platform in 2020. So RFQ is a specialized debt market oriented platform. It caters to the unique needs of bond market. The platform has been designed in such a way by NSC that it retains all the key features of the telephone market, and yet it maintains the flavor of electronic flow. So be it initiating an RFQ to a selected counterparties or showing RFQ to the entire market like a traditional platform, or doing a one-to-one negotiation with the selected counterparties, keeping the identity anonymous or disclosed. There are a lot of flexibilities which are there in the telephone market, which has been incorporated in the platform so that there is a seamless migration from the OTC market to the RFQ platform.
So this platform basically is for all types of debt instruments, right? Is that right?
Right.
What have you seen so far? I mean, which types of instruments are more popular on the RFQ platform, and which ones are still taking off?
So in terms of debt instruments, like from the day one, the platform has included all the debt instruments, be it corporate bonds, CPs, CDs, government securities. Within government securities, SDLs and T-bills are also the part of the platform. But in terms of traction, if you look at, so corporate bonds and CPs have witnessed a good amount of traction. So if you see the numbers, corporate bond represents 28% of the total trading on the RFQ platform. So it covers including the OTC market transactions. Secondly, in case of CPs, it represents 60% of the total market activity in the market.
And what is the NSE market share roughly in the RFQ platform?
NSC represents close to 98% of the market share.
Okay. Just moving on to the next question that I had in mind. How has the regulator tried to encourage more participation in the RFQ platform? Can you take us a bit about the recent initiatives that have been taken on this one?
So regulators over the years has given a lot of push to the various participants to start trading on the RFQ platform. So it has started with the mutual funds where SEBI has mandated to do 10% of the trading on the RFQ platform, and then they gradually increased to 25%. Then on the similar lines, IID has asked all the insurance companies to do 10% of their trading on the RFQ platform. Similarly, over these last 2 years, there are other entities also that have been included, including PMS, AIFs. Recently, they've also included stockbrokers, and now they've also included FPIs, which will be effective from 1st October 2023.
Sriram, just to add to what Saurabh mentioned, so one is there is a regulatory push or regulatory guidance about doing minimum certain amount of transactions on RFQ platform.
Right.
But what we observe here is basically even for the entities for whom there are certain minimum prescribed threshold, most of these entities are doing much higher compared to the thresholds which have been specified.
Sure.
In case of mutual funds,
So there is
25%
more acceptance and more voluntary participation
Correct.
than really, the mandatory specified thresholds.
That's right.
Perfect. And so what are some of the key features of the RFQ platform? I mean, in terms of the platform itself, you said it can be anonymous or disclosed.
Right.
Likewise, we hear terms like one-to-many and one-to-one. And also, there can be an RFQ or a request for quote, which is open for negotiation. At the same time, it can also be a fixed price kind of a quote. Is there a minimum response size? Can you talk about some of these features of the platform per se, and also, some of the other features that you want to highlight?
Sure, sure. So in terms of the key features of the platform, if we look at given the complexity of the bond market, so you require a price yield calculator. So depending on the yield, one can input the yield and accordingly convert into the prices using the day count convention. So there we have given various options of selection of day count convention, and that can be used by participant and accordingly arrive at the price. And similarly, by inputting price, they can reverse calculate the yields also. So both the provisions are there. Then there is a lot of challenges related to the term sheets. So we have also included for a lot of bonds, we have included the term sheets also on the platform. Then there's a robust risk management, which we'll cover in the coming slides. Then there is also an access management where each users can be defined and various roles can be allocated to each user. Then there's a chat messenger, maker checker facility for price confirmation. We have also provided analytics, so you can select an ISIN code and see like what is the trade history within that ISIN code. So accordingly, you will come to know that which bond is liquid or where the last trading happened on the platform.
Thank you.
And in terms of choices, when you are initiating an RFQ, so there are multiple options we have given. Like you can decide whether you want to disclose your identity or you want to keep your identity anonymous. You can set that while initiating an RFQ. You can keep the negotiation option also open or closed, so that if you say that this is the price that I'm going to stick with, so then nobody will be able to alter the price while responding. So they have to either agree or they can just ignore. So these are some of the features that has been given so that you can basically control the market activity as per your initiation. Then one-to-many and one-to-one is also one of the important characteristics of the platform, where you can decide like whether you want to show the code to the entire market. So you can select an option as one-to-many. While if you want to deal with only the selected counterparties, then you can select one-to-one option, where we have given either you can select one participant or you can select multiple participants of your choice. There are a lot of times it happens in the OTC market where participants, because since all these transactions in the OTC market doesn't have settlement guarantee, or so participants have to take care of the counterparty risk. So they can only select those counterparties which they are comfortable with, where there is a limit with them. So accordingly, they can decide like which counterparties they want to show the transaction. Similarly, on the response side also, we have given an option of partial acceptance of a deal. So if you have initiated an RFQ for 100 crores, somebody can just accept a 10 crore or 20 crore, but you can control that also. You can say that my minimum response size will be 50 crores for that transaction. So the responders have to take care while responding that their size of response should not be less than 50 crores. So accordingly, there are a lot of flexibility that has been offered on the platform.
Just in a nutshell, actually, typically, if you look at the regular order matching platforms on the exchange where standardized products are getting transacted by the participants, OTC market specifically for debt, there are a lot of nuances around this market.
Right.
So a lot of those kind of custom features which will be required, all those features have been incorporated here in this platform. It's the same feel or same configurations which otherwise a participant would require in the OTC market. Those have been put in the platform so that it's the electronification of those OTC transactions through exchange platform that has been achieved.
Perfect. And what is the registration procedure for the RFQ platform? I mean, for example, how does a foreign portfolio investor or FPI get registered, and what documents do they need to supply as part of the registration process? Is this a totally digital process, or are the hard copies of documents required? Why don't you take us through that entire step-by-step description?
So, before answering this question, I'll just tell you about the design of the. So, this particular platform, RFQ, is developed over the existing platform, which is our reporting platform, CBRIC, which has been used actively by the participant over the last 15 years for reporting their corporate bond transaction. So, this platform is built on the CBRICS platform. So, it uses the entire registration framework of the CBRICS platform. So, for people who are already registered on the Cbrix platform. So there are almost everyone is registered on the Cbrix platform. So for RFQ, there is no separate registration that is required. You can use your existing Cbrix login credentials and start operating on the RFQ platform.
Okay.
You just have to digitally accept the terms and conditions to accept the RFQ platform. Further, if someone is a new in the market and is not registered on the Cbrix, so again there is a very simple process of registration that includes the filing up of simple participant application form where some basic details are asked. Then you have to provide an attested copy, and then also
Of the PAN.
of the PAN.
Okay. The permanent account number or the tax ID, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the permanent account number. And then since FPIs prefer settlement through custody, so then they have to provide on the letterhead about the custody details. So all these details can be provided in a scanned copy and mail it to the exchange or updated on the Cbrix platforms, and the registration can be done accordingly.
Take us through the risk management features on the RFQ platform.
So RFQ, like we have again kept in mind that since on the RFQ platform, we have just mainly provided the trade execution part, while the other portion of the platform, once the trade is flown to the settlement, then it uses the existing framework only for the settlement. So it settlement is done bilaterally. It mainly the NCL, which is the settlement agency, which is there. So from that perspective, since the trades are not given settlement guarantee, so we have incorporated various types of risk management to ensure that deals are done correctly and also are being done with a counterparty which one is interested in. So there are various types of buy limit, sell limit, and gross limit that one can set at entity level. So as a FPI or as a mutual fund or as a fund house, you can decide that this is the quantity that I'm going to buy or sell during the day. Similarly, at your each dealer level, you can also define like within which dealer will do which how much amount. So that again can be defined. Then again at the counterparty level, for each counterparty in the market, you can define the limits that you are going to deal with. If somebody you are not interested in dealing, you can define the limit as zero or a zero. So this is how you can manage like the counterparty risk. Then at the ISN level also you can define like which ISN you want to purchase, which ISN you don't want to purchase. You can import your portfolio. So that provision is there. Then you can set issuer level buy sell limit also. These are the various limits that you can put. Then at the single order level also you can set a limit. Suppose you can set that I want to do a maximum transaction of 25 crores only. So that somebody inputting some incorrect number can be taken care. Further, as I said that there's a provision to import portfolio. You can also import yield and prices against each ISIN code. And you can set a band that I want to deal within that band only. Suppose you have input a price of let's say 100 rupees for a particular ISIN code. So you can set that 2% plus minus is what my capacity to deal in a particular ISIN code. So that any incorrect entry of any data entry errors are being taken care on the platform.
So any fat fingers related kind of instances, those could be mitigated with these measures.
Right.
Understood. Also talk us through the access management features of the RFQ platform.
So RFQ on the access management side, we have given a full-blown kind of access management where for each feature on the RFQ platform, be it a trade execution or a price confirmation, limit management, user management, compliance, reports and analytics. All these are the various roles that have been created within the platform where each user can be given a view-only access and a manage access. If a manage access is there, then user can perform all the required function within that. If a view only access, then user will only have a view facility. You will not be able to make any changes on the platform. So these are the various so that only the authorized user access a particular field. Even the maker checker kind of role is also there. You can define that who is going to be the one who will propose a price on the platform, who is going to the one who will confirm the price from counterparty, so that basically price plays a very important role in order to calculate the consideration part. So all that, so if any errors related to that can be taken care.
Thank you, Saurabh. It's all very clear now, but I think it's a good time now for us to go through the trade execution flow, assuming a broker is used for the transaction. So why don't you take us through the trade execution flow where the transaction happens with the help of a broker?
Sure.
Even I think so typically for any of these participants, specifically for the FPIs to come through the platform,
Right.
there could be two ways in which they could transact on the platform. So one is either they could come directly, they have a direct registration on the C3 as Saurabh mentioned, and they could directly connect to the platform, log in and negotiate the transaction directly. The second mode which could be used is they could come through a broker. So there are registered stock brokers who have access to RFQ platform. So if required, FPI could come through a broker also for doing their transactions on the RFQ platform.
Absolutely.
So would request.
So it will be good if we go through the trade execution flow through both the broker and without a broker. So first, maybe we should look at the trade process flow when a broker is used. Yeah. So on this slide, why don't you just talk us through the slide and you know we go from stage 1 to stage 2.
Sure, sure. Uh, just one point that regarding that participation of brokers on the RFQ platform. So when the platform was initially launched, it was only allowed to regulated entities, and brokers were not allowed to do the client transaction. They were only allowed the prop transaction to do on the RFQ platform. But in the last year, SEBI has come out with a circular where they've allowed the participation through broker. So that eventually allowed the other entities also who were not allowed to participate on the RFQ platform. So other entities, if it is not regulated, then they can only participate through the broker. So that is the major addition that has been done on the RFQ platform this year. So in terms of the process flow, if somebody wants to execute a transaction through a broker, so first of all, like if we take an example of an FPI, so first they have to map which are the brokers that they are interested in dealing with. So there are various brokers who are registered on the RFQ platform. They have to select one, two, three, or whichever they are.
So assuming I have selected a broker, let's say, and I have given my order to the broker, now the broker is obviously going to put it into the RFQ platform on my behalf because I want to buy or sell through the RFQ, right? And then the responder is able to negotiate with the broker. Is that right?
Right.
And assuming the negotiation is successful or whatever the order that's initially put up on the RFQ platform by the broker on my behalf, if that is straight away accepted by the responder, in either case, I think the yield is confirmed and deal is more or less done.
Right, perfect.
Now moving to second stage, to the second stage. Why don't you talk us through the second stage? That seems to be the more slightly complicated version of the entire process flow.
Yeah. So see, first step where we have just finalized the yield part. Now the next part is the price. Okay. So price included a lot of things like accrued interest will also be part of that. Clean price is also part of that. And then total consideration is generated by the system.
Right.
So what broker play the role is, since broker has finalized the yield, broker will propose a price on the platform that this is the price for this particular transaction. Then broker has generated this transaction on behalf of a FPI or on behalf of any participant. Then that participant have to just say that this is what I agreed with the broker. This is the price. So once that counterpart, once that FPI or any entity agreed to that price, so then that price goes to the counterparty then. So,
right.
So then counterparty has to just accept or reject. Again, if counterparty is rejected, then broker again has to just
the counterparty wouldn't reject unless there is some typo or some terms which have been incorrectly captured.
Yeah, correct.
So in which case it'll go back to the broker just to make that correction, and then once the FPI approves it, it'll anyway get accepted, right?
Yeah. So most likely, whenever somebody like broker finalize the deal, so they ensure that yield and prices are all in sync and already being confirmed with the counterparty. So there's a little possibility that there are rejections, but we have given a provision where counterparty can reject also, and again that process can initiate. We have given a facility for chat messenger also on this particular stage also, so that if there are some discrepancies, they can chat and sort it out. And once this is confirmed, deal will go for reporting and settlement. So now, once this is done, there is no further manual intervention is required for reporting. So that's an important piece. Currently, what happens when somebody does a deal in the OTC market, there's a SEBI guideline where they have to report within the 15 minutes once they're executing transaction in the OTC market. But if you are doing a transaction on the RFQ platform, this is being taken care. Deal get immediately reported on the CBRICS platform, and it goes for the settlement.
Understood. Understood. Just moving over to the next process, which is where a broker is not used in the direct mechanism. Supposing I am the FPI, I directly myself log into the platform and I put a quote up there, right? And if there is a responder, he can either accept my offer as it is, or he can come through a broker and negotiate with me and then eventually accept it. Is that how it works?
Come again, sorry, I missed the last part.
So if I put up an offer out there, I'm an FPI on the RFQ platform, and I'm directly putting it myself without using a broker. Obviously, if there is a responder in the market, they can either accept it directly or they can come through a broker, negotiate a bit, and then accept it.
Right.
So that's stage one or phase one, like we
Right.
saw in the previous slide.
Right.
In this case, how does stage two work out?
So in the stage two, like since FPI is the one who has executed the entire transaction, he is the one who has initiated.
So the
negotiated.
FPI will directly propose the
So
consideration.
FPI will directly propose the consideration. We have given an optional maker checker field. So if some FPI wants to give this price proposer and confirmation piece to the maker and checker, they can do it. Otherwise, even one user can initiate and it goes directly to the counterparty. Counterparty accept and deal will be through. It's a straightforward process.
Understood. And lastly, can we also go through the settlement process for the existing CBRICS mechanism?
So, in case of settlement, as we say that we have just uses the existing framework only. So there are no changes. So the way you are reporting the transaction in the OTC market and doing the settlement, that process remains same. It is just the execution part where the RFQ plays an role. While on the settlement side, the process remains same. So still we'll just go through like how the settlement process works. So what happens, like being an FPI, you select a particular custody who is going to settle a particular transaction. So that custody will go to the CBRICS platform and see their obligations. Okay. So suppose FPI is a buy a particular security on the RFQ platform and they have to transfer funds. So custody, what they will do is they will go onto the CBRICS platform, they will log in and they will see that what is the obligation accordingly. They will see that this is the fund requirement, and then they transfer that fund to the clearing corporation, which is NCL.
NSE Clearing Limited.
NSE Clearing Limited.
Yeah.
Similarly, counterparty also will see on the CBRIC side what is their obligation. They will transfer the security. Once funds and securities both are transferred to the NCL, NCL will simultaneously transfer that securities and fund to the FPI and the counterparty. And that's how the transaction gets closed. If at all if it happens that security is not being transferred by the counterparty and FPI only transferred the fund, then it's considered as a failed settlement and funds are returned back to the FPI.
Understood.
So this is the existing process. There are no changes that we have introduced in this process.
So between the buyer and the seller, who initiates the CBRICS mechanism, or is it both?
Both have the option. Both have the option. They can initiate the settlement part.
Okay. And typically, is there a market convention?
Yeah. So in case of settlement, again, like we have given all those options which are frequently being used by the participant, be it T+0 or T+1. Both the options are there on the RFQ platform.
Perfect. One final look at the RFQ product specifications. Maybe you can just talk us through quickly before we move into the questions that we've got from various FPIs today.
Sure. So in terms of product specification, so RFQ again, like CBRICS is a web-based platform.
Right.
So you only need an internet. There's no additional infrastructure cost. Registration process, again, I say that we are using the existing CBRICS only, so no additional registration requirement. You have all the available instrument, be it bond, CP, CD, GSEC, SDL, T-bill. Bonds, GSEC, SDL, T-bill are there is an automated reporting and settlement for these instruments. However, in case of CPs and CDs, one has to manually report on the FTrack platform, which is outside this platform. So there's a manual intervention that is required. Otherwise, for bond, GSEC, SDL, T-bill, you just have to execute transaction on RFQ, and the rest of the portion of reporting is being taken care of the platform itself.
So there is a separate reporting requirement which participants will have to manage through the abstract manner.
Yeah, for CPC.
Using their existing mechanism.
Yeah, only for CPs and CDs. Then trading, we have provided option of direct trading or through broker. For settlement, again, the options of direct and through custody are available. Security settlement is being done in Demat only. So people who are trading in GSEC, SGL, and T-bill, they have to especially taken care since the settlement is done only in case of Demat account on the RFQ platform. Settlement options for GSEC, SDL, T-bill, corporate bond, mainly the all in the instrument T plus 1 is there. For GSEC, SDL, T-bill, T plus 0 is not there. T plus 0 is only available for bonds, CPs, and CDs. Platform has a timing of 9 to 5 p.m., which is a standard timing. Then, in case of identity, we have already mentioned that anonymous disclose, there are multiple options. You can send code to the entire market or the selected counterparties. Quotation can be done in yield also, and yield and price also. Both the options are there. In terms of settlement, like you have to ensure that if you're using the RTGS channel, then 2 lakh and above is what the settlement.
200,000 rupees and above.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Now, just moving on to the questions. The first question is from Pankaj Kumar from BNP Paribas. What are the various modes in which FPIs can participate on the NSE RFQ platform? So I think we've gone through this already. They can participate either directly or using a broker.
Correct.
And we've discussed the detailed process for both these options.
Right.
The second question is from Mahesh of JP Morgan, Rhoda Lee, East Spring, Manish Tavde, Praveen Mishra, and Anuj Doshi from HDFC. What is the role of NSE and NSE clearing in meeting the mandatory 10% trading in corporate bonds through the RFQ platform, which has been recently stipulated for foreign portfolio investors?
Here in this case, the exchange provides, NSE provides the RFQ platform.
Right. The platform is provided by the exchange.
For trading and execution of the deals in the given debt instruments. The clearing corporation, the NSE Clearing Limited, they complete does the settlement handles the settlement part. So for facilitating the mandatory threshold requirements of FPIs, a platform, trading platform, and the clearing and settlement mechanism has been provided by NSE and NCL. But for measuring or monitoring the reporting requirement, that is going to be the obligation on the FPI side. Likewise, it is done by the other regulated entities also. The requirement which has been put forward by the regulators, that will have to be monitored at the entities.
Okay.
But just to add, so from the platform side, what we do is we provide all the various reports, downloads, the transaction related information, which could help the participant in monitoring and managing their threshold requirements.
So we have given a facility where they can select a day trade and download the trades, so that accordingly they can just see like how much trading they have done in the OTC market. Similarly, that similar report is there on the CBREX also. Then accordingly they can just see like whether that is meeting. But we would propose that if 10% is the requirement, you basically target for higher number. You basically target for 25% or 50%.
Right.
The other entities, so that 10% is something that they don't have to struggle with.
Understood.
And objective of the regulators also, as we see, basically the more the other regulated entities also come on the platform, there is going to be aggregation of those order flows, which is going to lead to a efficient price discovery.
Sure.
And the mechanisms of one to many, that kind of market, which is going to help all the participants to get a visibility and actionable quotes in these debt instruments, which will help the overall market development.
Sure. We spoke about the settlement process, and you spoke at length about how the existing CBREX settlement process works for RFQ as well. Is there a feature, to settle directly or through the custodian?
So on the CBREX platform, there's a feature where you can select, like an FPI, you can just provide the details of the custody with whom you want to do your settlement. And if you are interested in doing it directly, so that feature is also there. So both the features are available on the CBREX platform.
Will the trade execution or reporting on any other segment or platform other than RFQ be considered under the 10% mandatory regulatory requirement?
So SEBI in the circular, they have clearly mentioned that uh, they are expecting the transactions on the RFQ platform. So they have mentioned that 10% of the transaction needs to be done for corporate bond on the RFQ platform. So that 10% transaction activity has to be done on the RFQ platform. If you are doing activity on the OTC market and then settling through the exchange, then it will not be considered. If you're doing on any other segment of the exchange and again doing settlement or just reporting, then again that will not be considered. So you have to ensure that you are executing the transaction on the RFQ platform itself.
So that question actually came from Abhijit Tiwari and Sagar Kemkar of Yes Bank. The next question comes from Mitsubishi UFJ Kokusai Asset Management, Ryo Shimoharai and Masashi Ura-san. Yeah. The question is, can the RFQ platform of NSE be linked with any other front office or back office systems to have seamless flow from initiation of the quote to execution, settlement, and further reporting on any other system?
It's actually a very interesting question, but probably we missed to highlight this aspect of the RFQ platform earlier. So RFQ platform, we have a front end which is provided. So participants could connect, log into the front end and execute the transactions by negotiating with the counterparty. The other aspect or other channel which has been provided is we have also published APIs for transacting on the platform. So using these APIs, any of these entities, they could connect with their existing front office, back office applications, etc., and then connect to the RFQ platform. So there is going to be a seamless interface of their existing platforms and the RFQ platform that could be achieved through these APIs.
Thank you. The next question comes from Manish Tavde of HDFC. Is there a manual intervention for reporting that's required after executing the corporate bond transaction on RFQ?
Once you have executed the transaction on RFQ platform, we talk about the corporate bond only, then there is no further manual intervention. It will immediately go for reporting, and you just have to ensure that funds and securities are made available so that settlement happens smoothly.
Because all the maker checker functionality has already been implemented there on the RFQ platform, one doesn't have to worry about their current existing logistics related issues about the on the reporting platform, managing those confirmations and managing any differences, etc. The seamless interface that will be provided once the deal is executed on RFQ platform, deals are getting reported directly to the exchange trade reporting platform to meet that requirement from the regulator.
Sure. How does the negotiation feature work on the RFQ platform?
So in case of negotiation, suppose you have received an RFQ, you have seen that there's an RFQ that is there on the market watch. So you can just go and you have two options. Either you directly accept that RFQ, you are okay with the rates and all the terms and conditions of the related security, you are okay with that, and then you directly accept that. Suppose you think that this price is not right, this is not in line with what I think where the market should be. So you will go and hit a negotiate button and you will propose a separate price. So if a quote is being initiated to the entire market, but you are responding to a particular quote, then your response will not go to the entire market. It will be strictly one to one, so that the negotiation is between you and the initiator only. You are showing that price only to the initiator of the RFQ. So that is how the negotiation. So you can do n number of rounds of negotiation. You can share all the required information. Suppose somebody is asking for, like, you feel that this security has this kind of feature, and that's why. So all those rationales you can provide while responding to the initiator, so that your deal is concluded. This is similar to the way you do the deal in the telephone market, where you spend a lot of time, you show all the required terms and conditions, trust deed, all the required information, so that you convince the initiator that this is the price that I want to execute a transaction. And accordingly, all these features are there on the platform, which you can do it on the platform itself.
Perfect. The yield price calculator that you spoke about, which is available on the platform, is it available for all types of instruments? And how really does one make use of this feature?
So whenever somebody wants to initiate an RFQ, they select an ISIN code. So you select any ISIN code, be it GSEC, SDLT, bill, corporate bond, CPCD. So when you select an ISIN code, yield yield price calculator on the platform will appear. So you just have to select the take on convention, settlement date. You have to select input either yield or price and then click on the calculate. So system will generate a price according to the corresponding yield. Similarly, in case of if you input price, then the corresponding yield is generated based on these inputs. So yield price calculator is available for all kind of instrument. There could be a possibility for some bonds we may not have the prices available because we source all the terms and conditions which are available publicly. So RFQ platform, if you look at overall, it has all the ISINs which are outstanding in the market, be it listed on NSC, be it listed on BSC, or be it an unlisted bond which is there. So all those kind of instruments are there. So wherever we have a term sheet available, so we take out cash flows from the term sheet and accordingly generate the prices so that it reflects the actual prices in the market.
Perfect. One final question for you, Saurabh. Can a deal be partially accepted on the RFQ platform?
Yeah. So this particular feature was not there initially, but as we have received the feedback over the time, then we have incorporated this feature. So where people said that if somebody has initiated, let's say 100 crore deal or 500 crore deal, and I want to buy only 100 out of some portion I want to buy, so I can just go and directly accept so that there will not be any further negotiation. Otherwise, earlier there was a negotiation option where you select and you propose that again to the initiator, then he will agree or disagree. So we have given this option. So if initiator is comfortable with receiving any amount, then you can just partially accept. Otherwise, as I said, initiator will have an option to control that. They can select value negotiable option as open or closed. So all those options are there where you can control the responses.
So what happens? I mean, if I put up a proposal for or an RFQ for 1,000 crores, for example, and somebody partially accepts it for 300 crores, or rather partially wants to participate, and I accept it as the initiator. So the remaining part of the RFQs, does it still lie open on the system?
Yeah. So if the partial deal is executed, then it will only show the rest of the amount which is not being executed on the platform. And continue to show that RFQ on the market.
Excellent. So that brings us to the end of all the questions that we received. We hope we've been able to bring the required level of clarity for FPIs in particular with respect to this RFQ platform and how it works. Of course, we are very, very happy to receive any further questions that anybody might have. So please write into us and we will do another session of the open house webinar if it is needed. But until then, thank you very much. I also want to thank my colleagues Vittal and Saurabh for so patiently explaining the features of this platform and doing their bit to help the market participants. Thank you once again and see you soon in another episode of the Open House webinar.